Hey folks, Jason Duke's Dirt Race Life. Weight jacks. Let's put some in. Y'all take a look at this right here. Frame is sitting level, that's important. Level on the frame on the jig is not where the horns and stuff up here are. That's not level. Level is right here. So the center of the bolt, notice that this is the end of the bolt, not the head. That's going to make it a lot easier when you're setting your ride height. Put this front bolt from the back forward where that you can find the center of it easier, because that's a big bolt head that makes it a little bit harder. Make sure those are both sitting exactly level. What we're going to do is set both of these control arms and create a level plane across here. This is for setup. When we actually get this car down and we're fixing our ride heights and everything, we may turn it just a hair where that we're slightly up on this one and slightly down on that one. But as far as setting this up and figuring out our upper control arm angles so that we can move our roll center over, we need this can be completely level. It's going to make it a lot easier for us to work out our instant centers and our roll center. Okay, so I've got both of these exactly the same on the frame. And turn around. We're going to come over here. And the bottom lip of the control arm right there, not actually up on the lip, but that bottom lip right there, we're just going to put some rods in, tack weld these in place on both sides. And right at that bottom, when you snap a line across, is where the center of that ball joint is. I'm not sure that's exactly the same on a metric, but it is as far as the GM A-bodies and the Camaros. You know, so that's a real quick point. So like when you're working on these cars and you're measuring, you know, you take a tape measure from the floor up. You know, if you hit the bottom of that lip right there, the difference from there to the center of the bolt over here, that's going to tell you whether you're up or down on that lower control arm. And it can be a little bit deceiving because if you just look at it, the control arm will appear to be up, but you can't pay attention to that. You have to look at where the center of your bolts versus the center of that ball joint is. That tells you whether or not it's up or down. And like right now, that control arm is perfectly level. So we're going to set both sides the same here. So I had put these plates on. I wanted this to be flat all the way down through here, but I knew all along I was going to have to cut them out. And I had thought I would leave a piece of the plate at the top, which would have been nice. But looking at the height of the spring, just kind of taking my measurements and everything, the whole thing's got to come out. And that's okay. I still agree with putting a plate across because it makes both sides flush up. So I like that way of doing it. And so I'm just looking at the edge of the spring down here, where it's going to sit in the pocket, and I'm just snapping me a straight line. So we're going to saw that out right quick. bring it out of the way. Okay. Spring in the pocket. Jack plate. And jack. And this is, looks like it's turning out to be the exact same on both sides. So it's splitting right through the outside of where I shaved my frame down here. Yeah, right through the middle of it. And I'm okay with that. I don't twist this spring in or out or anything like that to make this jack look like it's in the right spot. Don't do that. When you set your lower control arm at where you believe your ride height, approximate your ride height like I did. I'm running a completely level plane across there with my lowers. And when that's where that spring naturally sits, wherever that is, it is. That's where it needs to be. Keep in mind, if you twist this spring, when you jack down on it and start holding the weight of the car, it is going to deform. But any amount of angle you put in it, it is changing the rate. This thing is rated. When you buy these springs and they're rated, if you buy them from a good company, they are that rate within a percentage. And when you start twisting and angling these springs because, well, I think this jack should be over here, it's not that rate. I can't tell you what it is. I can tell you it's not that rate though. So just my thought on that. So we're going to cut a plate out. We're going to set it in here level both ways, and then we'll notch that out and put the jack nut in. Need these guys for a while. Alright, so I actually cut this intentionally long right here, this pattern, and on the other side I figured that out because this is my lower's level, my lower is level. And when I'm level, this horn runs uphill right here. So it makes it easier. This is where we're actually going to put our upper mount. So we want it level. It's just going to make our lives easier if both of these are dead level both ways, or as close to as we can get. And so it's going to sit down flush on the front. And it's going to lip over on the back. A little bit of filling to do on the back side. Flushed up to the front. Got a good square edge here. So we're going to do a little bit of beveling just for the welding, but we're going to be burning this big and hot, so I'm not going to, and I've got a nice big valley all the way around. It doesn't take a lot of prep work. Mark my top and forward there. And let's see how far off we are. I'm going to take a little bit of material off right here. So it's a little bit of a trial and error going on here. But it's just going to make your life easier. This stuff is why I really enjoy building cars in the winter. You know, in the summer you're racing and you're just scrambling to have your car, you know, dialed in and ready to race. But in the winter, if you're doing this stuff in the summer, it's just, I got to get it done because, you know, to race. I got to get it done. I got to get it done. If you do it in the winter, then you can do this work for the enjoyment of it itself. And I need to come down just a little more. I can make that work, I think. So that's showing 0. Yep, so I'm at 0 that way. And I am at, oh, boogers. Can't have boogers. Yeah, and I'm sitting at like 1.5. That's just kind of letting you know how much gap I've got back here. And so I'm going to fix it. Where are we at? Do this for a minute. Let's see if that held. 0.1. I'm okay. I ended up at 0.1 over here. I have no issue with 0.1. For me, I want to be, you know, a third of a decimal, as far as, like, you know, if I'm more than a half a degree on anything, I'm gonna try to tighten that up. And so that's where I went ahead and this has got a so this is like a $12 digital level with a 0.2 resolution. I'm okay with that because, you know, to me, I just want to get on the right side of a half of a decimal. Is basically, like, if I get that accurate, like, I feel like I'm there. I'm fine. Trying to burn that in fairly hot. I'm at 201 and 17.5 volts. That's a little hotter probably than I'm going to do the roll cage. Well, I'll do some of the roll cage at that, but not all of it. All right, so we got our plate on. It's level front to back. It's level side to side. See if I can sneak the screen back in here. Okay. Line everything up. Set in the center, and it splits right through the middle. The same as the other side. So you see, I've got a reclaimed nut for a weight jack. I'm going to mount this with the flange up, and I'm going to have, well, the flange is going to be down and the nut is going to be up. And I'll put this in. I cut it flush on this side because that's going to actually stick out of the frame, and then when I turn the frame over and weld underneath, I'll tie this in underneath. Right now, we're just going to weld around the top here. And so, put it on there and take a marker and is beautiful. So, put it around here. And put it on here and put a little marking on it and figure out kind of where the torch needs to be. All right, so I'm gonna cut that half moon out and we'll slide it in, weld it up. We're gonna be good to go. Yeah, it looks like it is halfway. Take the jack, start this thing. This is not one of the springs I'm going to run on this car. I have got springs on the way. I am disclosing absolutely everything I do on this car, and this car is we're going to do a real soft spring setup on this car. Or at least we're going to start out that way. When we go to the track this fall, y'all may watch a video and say, well, Jay, that didn't work. but we're going to start out with it. I'm not going to hide anything. Anyway, and all right, so I got it tight. Set that flush. That looks good. Let's weld it up. Yeah, we're gonna run a 750 and an 850 spring. And that is soft. That's bump territory soft. But I've had really good luck with my driving style recently. I found that I was running far too stiff of a spring setup for what worked for me for a couple of years. I got into these softer springs and things started working for me. So if you find something that works, stick with it or expand on it, you know, explore. Something I found out, the setup books will really teach you about how things work, but when it comes to what makes a particular car work, it is true. You gotta listen to the car, not to a setup book once you get to the details. Sure, I got my gas on. Oh yeah, I got it on. Let's see. It is half and half. So that's all we're going to do for the weight jacks. Again, we'll weld up this flange underneath when I turn the frame upside down. It's good to go. All right, so let's take a quick look here. So as you can see, plates in, plates level. Got my reclaimed jack nut right here. Migged in around the top. Don't forget, we're going to tie that underneath. If I just had this around the top like this, over time, this probably would twist up. But the plate comes out, extends around the back here, so we're going to tie it in further there. And then also, our upper control arm is going to be sitting here. And I want to put a couple gussets in both directions for that upper control arm. And the gussets will actually serve two purposes, because they're going to stabilize the upper control arm, but they're also going to distribute all of this pressure, and so they'll also help to support this as well. But with this 3/16 plate right here, it's not going to move much. And you see, I've got some different springs, and I've got some cups here that are coming, but this is what I had on hand, and it was time to move on. Here you can see this other side as well. Same deal. Yeah, and so when you look, there it sits. You know, so I'm showing 0.3, but that is where I am. Let's see where I'm at on this one. And again, you can see same deal. I'm at 3 on that. All right, folks, the weight jacks are in. This one is buttoned up and done. Next up is the upper control arm mounts. We're going to temporarily mount our spindles and rotors, and we'll get our tubular upper control arms on here. We'll get some measurements, figure out how to set that roll center height where we want it. And that's going to be a good video. I should have it out in about 1 week. And if you like what you see, hit the like button, leave me a comment, and hit that subscribe button. That would be great. Thank y'all.